Kanji for Lesson 8 of Adventures in Japanese 1. The first one is the kanji for person, hito, and it's pretty basic. It just looks like a sort of very basic stick figure of a person. Hito. Hito. Now, one thing about this kanji is that it has multiple different pronunciations, including 2 different suffix pronunciations. So let's have a look at some words that include this. So by itself, if you just see a wa after it, this is probably going to be pronounced hito. Or like, この人は. This person is a whatever. But what about can you guess? You should be able to guess. Nihon Jin. So one of the alternative pronunciations of this is Jin, and that's the case whenever this kanji for person is acting as a suffix after a country name. So I could put America, just for example. America Jin. Or, Chugokujin, and so forth. If I have a kanji or a numeral, a Roman Arabic numeral, before this, it will usually be pronounced nin. Sannin wa. Sannin. Yonin, gonin, etc. However, there's 2 exceptions. This isn't ichinin, usually. This is hitori. And there's no way of splitting this up in such a way, like it's possible that you can think of ri as being a possible pronunciation for this hito, but I think that it's better to just think in terms of 1 plus person as a single unit, hitori, a single unit that means 1 person, hitori. And then same thing here, 2 plus person makes not ninin usually, but futari. 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 So we have potential pronunciations for this guy. Hito, jin, nin, and then hitori, futari as special readings. Next one. Ko for child. A stroke that sort of looks like the beginning of ah or ma, followed by, officially this is a second stroke, a sort of curve with a hook, and then a nice kind of longer stroke that cuts all the way through. In practice, it's almost never, like, as people are writing it, they almost never bother to actually lift the pen from the paper, even though it looks noticeably better when you do so versus if you just do that. Like, your pen doesn't go in the right direction if you don't lift it up, and it doesn't look very nice. So in theory, you should lift it up every time, but I know plenty of Japanese people who don't do that. So child is pronounced ko, usually. Although there are other pronunciations for this character. Ko. For now, we're not going to learn the kanji for the domo part of kodomo that means child. We're just going to write it like this. Kodomo. Moving right along. Woman. A sort of open ku shape. Followed by I don't even know what to call this. A right to left downward curving diagonal. And a final stroke that connects them. This is supposed to be an image of a mother sort of sitting with her child in her arms. Pronounced onna. It has other pronunciations, but we won't learn them right now. Onna is what we're looking for here. So if you see this, onnanoko. Onnanoko. If you see this, onna no hito, onna no hito. You can combine a squished up version of mother with a squished up version of child. Let's try that one again. Squished up version of mother, squished up version of child, to get the kanji for fond, affection, liking. And we throw a little ki after it and we get suki. Suki. So picture of a mother with a child is the kanji for affection. Suki. Next one. This is not very common in anything other than people's names by itself, but it's a very common component. So this is ta. Ta. When it appears second in a person's name, it's likely to get dots because it's a hiragana that could take dots. Generally speaking, a hiragana that can take dots does take dots with, exceptions. So for example, Taguchi-san, Mr. and Mrs. Taguchi. Or Yamada-san. Or Kaneda-san. Kaneda-san. Or one of the only situations in which this character appears in a name and is not pronounced moto. In this case, it is actually pronounced hong. Da. Honda-san, like the car manufacturer. Yes, indeed. So, this ta, it means rice field. It is not very common in words, but it's extremely common in names. And it's a common radical, in other words, a component of a larger kanji, like this one. Man, a combination of rice field and power. So, otoko, otoko. There are other pronunciations, but we won't learn them right now. So, otoko no hito, otoko no hito, a man. Otoko no ko, otoko no ko, a boy. And then our recognition kanji is watashi, which looks like this. And you just have to remember that this is watashi, and you do not need to know how to write it yet. Now that leaves us, we have studied person, hito, jin, nin, child, ko, woman, onna, affection, suki, rice field, ta or da, and man, otoko.